Dhamma Pratipadya Buddhang Kute Dhammang Kute Sanghang Kute. I worship Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha by practicing in accordance with the teachings, the Dhamma. May this humble offering be accepted. हम लोग चर्चा कर रहे हैं
सर
जी।
आपका फेस थोड़ा सा कैमरे से अलग जा रहा है, आपको हम देख नहीं पा रहे हैं, आपको आधा देख पा रहे हैं।
अच्छा,
तो अभी ठीक है सर, अभी बेहतर है।
हम चर्चा कर रहे हैं जेनरिकली दुख संज्ञा के विभिन्न आयामों के ऊपर। अभी हमने अनिश्चय दुख संज्ञा, अभिनव संज्ञा, मरण संज्ञा, इसका डिस्कशन चल रहा है। तो मरण संज्ञा के बारे में भगवान तो बहुत बार कहते हैं कि इट्स वेरी पावरफुल मेथड ऑफ प्यूरिफाइंग द माइंड एंड dropping off the attachments to the worldly pleasures. लेकिन हम देखते हैं कि एक somehow a kind of latent resistance रहता है इस प्रैक्टिस के ऊपर, खासतौर पे आदिनव संज्ञा, मरण संज्ञा और कुछ हद तक दुख संज्ञा के बारे में। रेजिस्टेंस क्यों रहता है? क्योंकि अटैचमेंट है अभी शरीर के प्रति हम सबकी, कोई हम मुक्त नहीं हुए हैं। और समाज में भी इस तरह की चीजों को चर्चा करना अच्छा नहीं माना जाता। ऐसा नहीं है कि लोग अवॉइड कर रहे हैं अननेसेसरीली, बट कहते हैं कि जब जरूरत हो, जब कुछ हो ऐसा तब करो ना चर्चा, अभी क्यों चर्चा करते हो, अभी तो सब ठीक ठाक है। व्हाई आर यू डिस्कसिंग दीज थिंग्स? आई जस्ट
सर थोड़ा सा बीच में आ जाइए, आपका पूरा आप दिख नहीं पा रहे हैं।
नहीं देख पा रहे,
और थोड़ा राइट साइड, यस, ये नाउ बेटर।
जस्ट किया था नया, अभी चेंज द ओरिएंटेशन सो देयर इज सम एडजस्टमेंट। ओके,
नाउ बेटर, थैंक यू सर।
ठीक है क्या?
ठीक है आपको, थैंक यू सर।
एक थॉट एक्सपेरिमेंट किया कि अगर मैं अपने बहन से या खास मित्र से कहूँ, मालूम नहीं कल सुबह उठेंगे कि नहीं उठेंगे, तो उनका क्या रिस्पांस होगा? अरे भाई शुभ शुभ बोलो, क्यों ऐसी बात करते हो? बट देयर इज अ फैक्ट, ऐसे फैक्ट का क्या फायदा? व्हाई आर यू स्पॉइलिंग योर मूड एंड स्पॉइलिंग आवर मूड? So when you reflect on that, you can see that the real reason we don't want to contemplate is that our attachment to life, attachment to living is the cause for our seeking sensory pleasures, confining to worldly happiness. But अगर हमारा उद्देश्य भोग वृत्ति से ऊपर उठना है, सांसारिक सुख से ऊपर उठना है, निब्बिदा बढ़ाना है, तब तो ये चीज करनी ही पड़ेगी। और फिर जिस तरह से हम चर्चा करते हैं बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड, अधुवम जीवितम ध्रुवम मरणम, जीवन अनिश्चित है, मरना तो पड़ा है ही, अवश्य अटल है, अवश्य हम सब मरेंगे और इस जीवन का अंत मरने में है। Now when you say such things, many people feel very uncomfortable. Why do you have to repeat it again and again? जरा धम्मोमी तक तो चल जाता है, लेकिन इस तरह की डिटेल चर्चा करना और देन थिंकिंग अबाउट किस किस तरह से मेरी मृत्यु हो सकती है, कितनी अनिश्चितता है, इट सीम्स समवट मॉर्बिड, कि क्या कर रहे हैं, ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हैं. It's not supposed to be morbid, it's supposed to be deepening our pragya, but that's how it happens. That's how we're not easy to accept this kind of a practice. ऐसा मेरा अपना अनुभव है. सचमुच में अगर गहराई से देखा जाए तो इसका बेसिक उद्देश्य कारण तो यही है कि हमें क्लियर ही नहीं है who is dying. So if we want to ask ourselves who dies and keep quiet and meditate, we will not get an answer. We will not be able to find who is dying. All we can say is our body dies. But हम इतना डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, I am not the body. What I am not may not be very clear, but this is certain, I am not the body. Then why worry about it? ना तुम आकाश उत्तम हमने सुना था, जो आप तुम्हारा नहीं है उसके बारे में छोड़ दो, अटैचमेंट छोड़ दो. अच्छा लगता है सुनने में, लेकिन करने में बड़ा मुश्किल लगता है बेसिकली, क्योंकि अनित्य संज्ञा को डेवलप करना काफी कठिन काम है. तो ऐसे में हम जैसे पुथु जन जो अभी साधक हैं, साधना के मार्ग पे हैं, कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि शील समाधि प्रज्ञा का अभ्यास कर करके स्ट्रेंथन बढ़ाएं अपने को. तो what should be our attitude towards death? Practically speaking, of course, we have already theoretical aspects हम काफी चर्चा कर चुके हैं कि भाई हमारे को इतना तो क्लियर ही है that we have not got liberated fully and therefore there will be another birth. When I die, there will be another birth. So what if we have to be concerned any at all, only concern should be कि भाई मेरा अगला बर्थ जो है वो किसी नीचे के लोकों में ना हो, मनुष्य लोक या ऊपर के लोकों में, ताकि मैं साधना के मार्ग पे आगे भी चलता रहूं, अगले जीवन में भी करता रहूं. अभी यहाँ तक पहुंचा है, उससे आगे फिर करेंगे तो अंततः मुक्त हो ही जाएंगे. तो वो हमारा कंसर्न अगर हो तो वो एक wholesome concern, and then we can then reflect on it in the light of paticca samutpad, sankhara paccaya vijnanam. So हमारा parting sankhara should be wholesome, and then parting sankhara वैसे ही होंगे जैसा सारा जीवन भर करेंगे. ऐसा तो हो नहीं सकता कि जीवन भर हम गलत काम करते रहें, शील तोड़ते रहें, द्वेष जगाते रहें, राग जगाते रहें और अंत में हमारे मन में समता आ जाएगी, मैत्री भाव जाग जाएगा. ऐसा तो होने वाला नहीं है. तो जो प्रैक्टिकली इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है कि क्या मैं अपने समय को ठीक से इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ, फालतू की चीजों में तो नहीं वेस्ट कर रहा उसको. साधना के लिए समय निकाल पा रहा हूँ, क्योंकि सारी अशुभ संज्ञा और दुख संज्ञा का उद्देश्य यही है कि धम्म समय एक बढ़े. मैं अपने आप को एक्सेसिवली बिजी तो नहीं रखता हूँ ताकि मेरा समय ही ना हो. और एक बात शायद काउंटर इंट्यूटिव लगे, बट मुझे बिल्कुल स्पष्ट लगती है कि क्या मैं सांसारिक सुख मैंने भोगा है कि नहीं भोगा है. अब ये कैसी बात हुई. इसका कारण, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कारण ये है, हैप्पीनेस इज ए प्रॉक्सिमेट कॉज फॉर समाधि, सम्मा समाधि. अगर सम्यक समाधि करनी है तो चित्त में प्रसन्नता होना आवश्यक है, नहीं तो नहीं हो पाएगी. बहुत कष्ट होगा और द्वेष साथ साथ चलता ही रहेगा. जैसे हम देखते हैं जब शिविरों में जाते हैं तो आनापान के समय कितना कष्ट होता है. क्यों? इसीलिए क्योंकि द्वेष का संस्कार रखता है, बनता रहता है. और जब पुराना साधक हो जाता है, बहुत अच्छी तरह साधना की है, then there is no problem whatsoever. तो अगर हमारा मन में वैसे ही बिटरनेस है, अनहैप्पीनेस है, लाइफ के बारे में हम कंप्लेन ही करते रहते हैं, या पॉलिटिक्स के बारे में जनरली अवर्स टेम्परामेंट है, तो वो हमारे लिए ये सब चीजें प्रैक्टिस करने का ठीक टाइम नहीं है. I have to close the window. There is some celebration going on. तो अपने सामान्य हाउस होल्डर में लाइफ में वर्ल्डली हैप्पीनेस के जो सारे आयाम हैं उसको हमको अपने जीवन में उतारना चाहिए. तभी हम आगे ठीक से वर्ल्डली हैप्पीनेस को ट्रांसेंड कर पाएंगे. It's not that you cannot transcend it otherwise. It's quite tough. So, चार जो आयाम वर्ल्डली हैप्पीनेस के बताए गए. I'm earning enough money with the sweat of my brow, using it for my own care and also for my family's care and for serving the guests, monks, then living within my means, then leading a blameless life. ये चार आयाम जनरली बताए जाते हैं. तो ये चारों आयाम हम कुछ हद तक हमने प्रैक्टिस किए हो तो चित्त में एक प्रसन्नता का वातावरण रहता है, एक सेटिस्फैक्शन, कंटेंटमेंट रहता है. And then you are in a position to really transcend it through samadhi and then move towards panya. It's quite important. That's what I find really. So considering the fact that we're all here, जो हम लोग इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं सब गंभीर साधक हैं, वरना कोई कारण नहीं था कि यहाँ इकट्ठे हों, जो सुन रहे हैं ये सब. So we can presume that we are all doing all of that, and therefore we are in a position to practice Marananasanya, Marananusati. And तब भी दिक्कत बहुत है, जैसे मैंने कहा. तो मैं आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहता हूँ कुछ नॉन कन्वेंशनल वेज जो मैं I have been using them for even before joining Vipassana. See, भारतवर्ष में नॉन बुद्धिस्ट ट्रेडिशन में भी मरणानुसति का एक कुछ आयाम पाए जाते हैं. कभी गुरु नानक इनकी लाइफ में, इनके टीचिंग्स में ये सब बातें आती हैं. खासतौर पे इम्परमानेंस ऑफ लाइफ के बारे में बहुत चर्चा आती है. गुरु नानक देव जी के शब्दों में, कबीर जी की वाणी में और भी कई संतों की वाणी में मैंने खासतौर पे यही सुने. और सिर्फ इम्परमानेंस ऑफ लाइफ नहीं, कंटेम्पलेशन ऑफ डेथ की भी बातें आती हैं. बट उसमें खास बात यह है कि उन्होंने सिमिलीज के माध्यम से उनको एक राइम बना के एक पोएट्री के रूप में, by singing them in a particular good manner, they give a bitter medicine in a sugar coating. So कई भजन कबीर जी के ऐसे हैं जिनमें शुद्ध यही बातें हैं. मैंने को जो भी 2-3-4 याद आए मैंने कुछ लिखे हैं. आई जस्ट रीड आउट टू यू द वर्ड्स. आपने भी सुने होंगे जरूर. बट दिक्कत क्या होती है, when we listen to these as a song, we get carried away by the beautiful voice. कुमार गंधर्व गा रहे हैं, और कितनी अच्छी आवाज है उनकी, कितना प्रेम से गा रहे हैं, कितनी श्रद्धा से गा रहे हैं, कितना धुन सुर में गा रहे हैं, and the words get lost. So that is the other side of making it sugar coating. But if we are mindful and we listen carefully, I find they are very powerful in terms of creating the Dhamma samveg and leading us forward. इसलिए इनको सामान्य भाषा में चेतावनी भजन के रूप में भी कहा जाता है. आप अगर देखेंगे चेतावनी भजन तो आपको काफी गूगल में मिल जाएंगे. एक जैसे है, हमका ओढ़ावे चादरिया चलती बेरिया, डिस्क्राइबिंग कि आफ्टर डेथ आपके ऊपर चादर डाल के और जो है शव यात्रा चल पड़ी. एंड देन डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ व्हाट हैपेंस, कैसे भीतर से बाहर लाए, सारे घर छूट जाएंगे, मकान छूट जाएगा और साथ सिर्फ लकड़ी रह जाएगी. डिस्क्रिप्शन इज गिवन इन ए वेरी simple words, but in a very powerful manner if we can really reflect upon it. एक और भजन इसी तरह से है, तज दिए प्राण काया कैसी रोई. आप इसको देखिए, you can listen to it on YouTube. चलत प्राण काया कैसी रोई, छोड़ गया निर्मोही, मैं जाना मेरे संग चलेगी, यही थे काया यानी मल मल धोई. एंड देन ऊंचे नीचे मंदिर छोड़े, गाय भैंस घर घोड़ी, and so on. It goes on to describe the whole process of dying and how you are taken to the cremation ground, and then 4 people take you there, and then the dramatic way described, Phagun ki se holi. So the body is burnt out as if there is a holy, and you're just as लकड़ियां फागुन होली के पहले जलाई जाती हैं, उसी तरह से शरीर को जला दिया जाता है. So this is a description of the process, so that one is mindful that this is going to happen. How the body burns, how the hair burns, all that is described in some detail. इसी तरह से उड़ जाएगा हंस सकेला. It's a very powerful bhajan of Kabir. And if you listen to it carefully, slowly, it is actually Marananusati in a very simple words, understandable words, with similes which we can understand. So I found this as a very useful way of developing Marananusati, which we can try from. We can try from any tradition. I'm sure there will be many in different traditions. The second thing which I have found very helpful is, especially from the perspective of rebirth and how should be our mind states be at the time of death, to recall the inspiring dying moments of great persons. आजकल हम great disciples of Buddha सुबह पढ़ते हैं, तो हमने भगवान बुद्ध की मृत्यु के समय की मनस्थिति और घटनाएं पढ़ी, सारिपुत्त जी के वेनरेबल सारिपुत्त जी की पढ़ी. So we know, if those of you who have listened to them and know them, can recall how inspiring those things are. A person is dying, and yet he is concerned about the welfare of others. If Buddha is passing away and a person comes to listen, to learn Dhamma, is willing to teach him even just a few moments before his death. And he finds Ananda is crying, so बुलाते हैं, क्यों रो रहे हो? And explain to him and console him and comfort him that you will surely attain liberation in this very life. Don't worry, you have done a lot of merit and lot of merit. और इन सारिपुत्ता's case, उनकी माँ जो हमेशा जीवन भर उनके साथ द्वेषात्मक व्यवहार किया, क्योंकि उनका बेटे चला गया और उनके 6 बेटे बेटियां चले गए, जो 6 को 6 अरंत हो गए, लेकिन वो वैसी की वैसी नहीं. और उनके मन में यही टीस है कि मैं किसी तरह से माता को धर्म की शरण में ले आऊं, उनको धर्म के स्रोत में डाल दूं. Is dying in acute pain, illness, and yet metta and karuna are there. And that's a great example, for us. अब ये दोनों तो बहुत महान लोग थे. We can think about people like us, or you can think about Grahastha. There's a full account of Anath Pandika's death. बहुत बीमार, बहुत परेशान, सारे शरीर में उनके परेशानी हो रही है, दर्द हो रहा है, कष्ट हो रहा है. And at his request, Venerable Sariputta and Ananda come there. And then जब वो देखते हैं कि he is on the last stages of his life, Sariputta gives him a discourse. Don't cling to 6 senses, their sense objects, consciousness, contact, feeling. Don't cling to 6 elements, formless meditation objects, any realms of existence. And he gives him a detailed discourse of that kind. और वो सुन के अनाथ पिंडक की मानस इतना प्रसन्न हो जाता है कि उनकी आंखों से आंसू लगते हैं. और आनंद पूछते हैं, क्या बात, are you collapsing? He says, no, I'm not collapsing. I've never heard such a profound discourse. So Venerable Sariputta कहते हैं, इस तरह का प्रवचन नॉर्मली भिक्षुओं को दिया जाता है. तो वो कहते हैं, नहीं, ऐसा ना करिए आप, प्लीज रिक्वेस्ट द लॉर्ड that such discourses should be given to those householders, because many of them are capable of listening to such things and understanding these. And then pay respects to Venerable Sariputta, and Sariputta चले जाते हैं. And within some time of that, he passes away, and he's reborn in Tushita Dev Loka, and he comes back in the night to Jetavana, pays respect to, as a Deva now, he comes to pay respect to the Buddha, and says there, yeah, we should investigate Dhamma, and that there is no one who can excel Sariputta in wisdom, virtue, and peacefulness. And then the Lord Buddha sadhuvat karte hain, yeah, sure, that's true. So you can see how Anath Pandika is able to change his mindset from an unhappy state to a great exaltation on learning the teachings, on teachings of that kind. And all these teachings is what we have been discussing. In this session, this is what we have been discussing. The senses, sense objects, conscious, wherever the feelings arise, their cravings arise, and how we can be mindful of them. So if you really imbibe those teachings, we can also be assured that we'll have a wholesome death and reborn in a very good place. And it's not just that we can confine to that, our own tradition, we can also look at other traditions. For me personally, the death of Jesus Christ has been a great inspiration, in how a person can forgive those who are hurting him in the most obnoxious manner, right? Nailing him to a cross, and he's bleeding, and all he has got is metta and karuna for them, seeking forgiveness for them, those who are hurting him. Can't imagine what kind of, if you reflect deeply on it, what kind of impact it produces on the mind. Then another person's life who has influenced me greatly is the great philosopher, the Greek philosopher Socrates. And his life, for he's almost a contemporary of Lord Buddha, a few decades later. But his life, and as recorded by Plato in his dialogues, and there is one of the dialogues is called Phaedo, and it has a scene of death of the Socrates. As you might be aware, Socrates was given poison by Athens judges because they said he's not following the state gods and he's poisoning the minds of the youth with his all kinds of new philosophies. And he agreed to take that. And what is the last scenes, if you read, it almost looks like he's repeating the teachings of the Buddha. So I'll just read out some excerpts from the last few moments of his life. He's surrounded by his students. Unfortunately, his most prominent student, Plato, was ill on that day, so he couldn't come. But so other students are there, and they report it to Plato, and then he writes in that dialogue. So I'm just reading out from the dialogue some excerpts. Maybe a few minutes we'll cross over today, but I think it'll be good to see that. So he says, Crito is one of his prominent students. He says, "Well, Socrates, do you wish to leave any directions with us about your children or anything else? Anything you can do to serve you?" He replies, "What I always say, Crito, nothing new. If you take care of yourselves, you will serve me and mine and yourselves. Whatever you do, even if you make no promises now. But if you neglect yourselves and are not willing to live following step by step, as it were in the path marked out by our present and past discussions, you will accomplish nothing, no matter how much or how eagerly you promise at present." And his path was essentially of self-inquiry, know thyself. That is a path which he suggested to them. And Crito replies, "We'll certainly try hard to do as you say, but how shall we bury you?" He replies, "However you please, if you can catch me and I do not get away from you." And he laughed gently and looking towards us said, "I cannot persuade Crito, my friends, that the Socrates who is now conversing and arranging the details of his argument is really I. He thinks I am the one whom he will presently see as a corpse, and he asks how to bury me. And though I have been saying at great length that after I drink the poison, I shall no longer be with you, but shall go away to the joys of the blessed you know of, he seems to think that was idle talk, uttered to encourage you and myself. So he says, give security for me to Crito, the opposite of that which he gave the judges at my trial. For he gave security that I would remain, but you must give security that I shall not remain when I die. but shall go away so that Crito may bear it more easily, and may not be troubled when he sees my body being burnt or buried, or think that I am undergoing some terrible treatment. For dear Crito, you may be sure that such wrong words are not only undesirable in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. No, you must be of good courage and say that you bury my body, and bury it as you think best and seems to you most fitting. When he said that, he got up and went to another room to take bath, and then he meets his family and bids them goodbye, and then again, I'll omit that. And then the jailer is in the prison, so the prisoner comes and says, it is time for you to take poison. And but he's crying while he's giving him poison, because he says, I have never found a man more honest and just and gentleman like you. So he gives, and then Crito again says, hey, come on, let us wait. The people have been taking in past very late. Why should you take now? The sun has still not set. And then Socrates tells him, Crito, those whom you mention are right in doing as they do, for they think they gain by it. And I shall be right in not doing as they do, for I think I should gain nothing by taking the poison a little later. I should only make myself ridiculous in my own eyes. If I clung to life and spared it, then there is no more profit in it. Come, he said, do as I ask and do not refuse. Thereupon Crito nodded to the boy, and he gives him the poison. He says, now Socrates says, well, my good man, you know about these things. What must I do? So that jailer says, nothing except drink the poison and walk about till your legs feel heavy. Then lie down and poison will take effect of itself. And then he gives the cup to them, and he very coolly takes it, very coolly, without, he says, he just offers a prayer and then takes it. And he says, with these words, after the prayer, he raised the cup to his lips and very cheerfully and quietly drained it up. Up to that time, most of us had been able to restrain our tears, but when we watched him drinking and saw that he had drunk the poison, we could no longer, and so on. They start crying and breaking down. And then what he says them, what conduct is this, you strange men? I sent the woman away chiefly for this reason, that they might not behave in this absurd way. For I have heard that it is best to die in silence. Keep quiet and be brave. Then we were ashamed and controlled our tears. He walked about, and when his legs were heavy, he lay down on his back. The man who had administered the poison laid his hands on him, and after a while examined his feet and legs, and said, pinched his heart and said, do you feel it? No. Then he said, well, slowly the chill will go up, and as soon as it reaches the heart, you will be dead. And it says the chill has reached your groin area, and soon it will reach your heart and you'll die. And then Socrates' last word, he says, Crito, we owe a cock to Asclepius. Pay it and do not neglect it. And that, Crito says, shall be done. But see if you have anything else to say. To this question, he made no reply. But after a while, he moved, and his eyes were fixed, and he had died. Such was the end, Socrates, of our friend, who was, as we may say, of all those of his time whom we have known, the best and the wisest and the most righteous man. So this is a very enigmatic last words. Asclepius is actually the Greek god of medicine. And why did he say pays, give a cock? Normally the tradition there is that when somebody is cured of illness, they make an offering to the Greek god of medicine. So what Socrates is trying to indirectly say, that by this poison I have been cured of the illness of the body, and now I am free from the suffering associated with the body. And because it was his teaching that for as long as we are in the body, we can be tempted and distracted by the flesh. Only when we die can our soul achieve that release that cures it of all these ills. So you can see how great men have, what kind of mind state they were when they passed away. And we can take inspiration from them as to how we can see that our minds also are so peaceful, so kind, so full of loving kindness and metta, even at that moment. And obviously, if that is the case, then there's no reason for us to worry about death and what's going to happen to us. So may we all be able to understand these subtle points and practice Maranasati in the true sense of the term, fearlessly and with serenity. May it be so.